Hey everyone, Wisdom Say here. Do you like fuel saving races? I don't either, but we're going to do some very cursed mega fuel saving racing at Nürburgring 24 hours, but we're going to torture ourselves by using the cars that are the absolute worst when it comes to fuel efficiency. Alright, so to set things up, we're doing 2 laps at Nürburgring 24 hours with the Group 4 cars. Fuel was at times 7, so fuel was really high. You had to do a lot of fuel saving, and tire was at times 8. The racing medium and hard tires were available, but only the racing hard tires were required. So it's possible to pretty much just do the qualifying on the racing medium tires and then do the entire race on the hard tires, and then just do a bunch of fuel saving by doing lots of short shifting, lots of fuel map adjustments, easing off-road throttle whenever possible, and staying under 1 slipstream. And it was actually possible to do the entire race without needing to go to the pit stop, but you needed to get the fuel management down to a science. And you'll actually see me do a bit more fuel saving right now. But anyways, cars like the Volkswagen Scirocco were really good when it comes to this race because it was really good at fuel saving while losing little pace. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and go on over towards the end of lap 1. I have 51% of fuel left, so I'm doing just fine. And some cars are actually going to go to the pit stop, some to switch tires, some to refuel. And I want to show this right here. So look at all the blue arrows. A lot of them are going to go into the pit stop, and this is what's going to make this race kind of difficult for some because you had to do a lot of fuel saving as the pit loss was around 30 seconds. Now look at the end of lap 2. There's so many cars way behind, just barely entering the final straight at the Nordschleife section, and I'm already done with the race. So you had to do a 0 stop on the racing hard tires and do a ton of fuel saving. So now that we have an idea about how this race is going to go, now comes the question, is it possible to do well in this race with a car that is absolutely atrocious when it comes to fuel saving and fuel efficiency? So that's where the Ford Mustang comes in. This was the next day and there's already a bunch of Scirocco's here, so I already know that things are not going to go well for me. And you can tell that things are going to go bad for me because I have this cute little decal where it's going to be a struggle to try not to run out of fuel in this car. So the Ford Mustang Group 4, yeah, it's really bad on fuel. It dumps a ton of fuel and it's really poor on fuel saving. And what I mean by that is that when you're trying to fuel save in the Ford Mustang, the pace noticeably drops off. It's a lot worse than cars like the Volkswagen Scirocco, the BMW M4. Yeah, this one, it just turns into a turtle as you're trying to save fuel. And I'm already getting assaulted by one Scirocco, and I'm just gonna let him on through as I'm trying to fuel save, try not to fight it out with him. And actually, I want to take advantage of his slipstream as that will help me save a bit more fuel. And with the really strong slipstream in Gran Turismo Sport, it'll actually help me keep up a bit more. So I'll be able to go a little faster while trying to fuel save. So basically, all I want to do in this race is just survive with this car because the last thing I want to do is run out of fuel very early on. And it's easily possible to do that with a car like the Ford Mustang. So just trying to stay under his slipstream, doing lots of fuel saving. Juan is going to go for the move and I'm not going to fight it out. I'm just going to tuck in behind the slipstream, just try to take as much advantage of the slipstream fuel saving that I can so I can keep up with him for a bit longer and hopefully once again not run out of fuel, especially at a very long track like Nürburgring 24 hour where it'll be a very awkward long crawl back to the pit stop if I do run out of fuel. But Juan did manage to get the move done, and Yasser in the Ferrari is also going to get the move done on me. Once again, just not going to fight it out. I just want to try to stay in the slipstream. I don't want to fight with anyone because that means that I'll have to push even harder, which means I'll be using even more fuel, which means I'll run out of fuel faster. So kind of just playing the long game over here. Just doing a lot of fuel mapping, a lot of short shifting, a lot of lifting off of throttle if possible, just trying to stay under the slipstream. Slipstream is pretty much my lifeline in this race, and the last thing I want to do is lose it, as I will lose even more pace. Now luckily, second and third place are a little bunched up, so they're going a bit slower, which is going to be better for me as I have to spend less resources, fuel that is, trying to keep up with them. Yasser is actually going to go for the move, and Luciano is just going to let him on through, so looks like Luciano is also trying to do the fuel saving game as well. The car in first place looks like he's actually under racing medium tires, so he will have to pit, and the pit loss for Nürburgring is like 10 trillion years. As unfortunately he's going to end up in the grass, so he's kind of just out of the race for now. Now we just have to worry about trying to keep up with Yasser and Luciano, as I almost went into Luciano. But skipping on over towards the end of the Nordschleife section, as a bunch of nothing has been going on, Yasser has kind of pulled away, so I'm starting to think that he's on the racing medium tires, or he's really pushing it so he's using too much fuel, so he will be forced to pit. However, for Luciano, he hasn't really pulled away from me, which has me thinking that he's also going for the zero stop, where he's on the racing hard tires and he's just trying to fuel save for the 2 laps. Unfortunately, the car behind got a penalty, so he's out of my slipstream. Luckily for me, I'm able to catch up to Luciano and take advantage of the slipstream and fuel mapping to do a ton of fuel saving. And luckily that's going to benefit me quite a bit, as I have about 4 to 5% extra fuel left as we're getting ready to end lap 1. Yasser was actually pushing, so he does have to pit, so he's going to lose out a lot of time, as the pit loss once again is about 30 trillion years. Or 30 seconds. Yeah, it's a really long pit stop, as a zero stop was the way to go. However, Luciano is going to pick up a half-second penalty for barely cutting into the left turn. And there we go, half-second penalty, and he has to serve it at the very start of the long back straight at the Nordschleife section, which is going to be really bad for him. He needs to try to break the 3/4 of a second slipstream range between himself and I, so I don't end up benefiting as much from him serving the penalty. But unfortunately, it's not going to work for him, because I was able to stay with him the entire time, and we're going to see him serve the penalty, and he's going to lose so much time. So as he starts to serve the penalty, I'm actually going to slingshot past him, so he was about 2/10 of a second ahead of me. Now he's around 3 seconds behind me, so serving a penalty at the back straight was catastrophic, and that ended up costing him the win. A half-second penalty, very catastrophic. But luckily, I was able to pick up a win, somehow. I just had to hang on to someone's slipstream for dear life, and luckily it worked out for me. Now it's going over to the next day, where apparently some people got the memo to use meme cars, like Moving Chicane in the Mustang, me in the Veyron, No Morons in the Veyron, and Womble Sheriff in the Veyron as well. So these cars are really bad when it comes to fuel. Actually, I think the Veyron is even worse than the Mustang when it comes to fuel efficiency and fuel saving. We also have Key in this race in the Ferrari 458, which is an excellent car when it comes to fuel saving. So he's going to have a field day kicking all of our butts. And I'm going to leave the links to their channels in the description down below. Please check out Moving Chicane, Key, and Womble Leader, as they make some pretty good Gran Turismo related content. But anyways, as the race starts, Moving Chicane and I are going to struggle to get going, because these cars are horrendous when it comes to fuel saving. Basically, our pace is really slow, as the golden Scirocco is easily going to go for the move. The white Scirocco also wants to go for the move, as there's Punt City going on in the background, or in the foreground in that clip. But anyways, Juan is easily just flying away from us, and actually I think he's on the racing medium tires, so he's going to do a 1 stop. But because of that little scuffle with Juan, I'm unfortunately going to be a little far from moving chicane, and I'm going to be holding up this line of cars behind me, so I'm a little nervous about that. And actually Juan is going for the move on moving chicane, so that little bit of battling is going to help me catch up to them a bit more, especially towards moving chicane, as we're actually talking to each other when we're doing this race, and we agreed to try to help each other out. Yeah, this was a really stupid race in these cars, the Mustang and the Veyron, as we're pretty much just trying to survive, as these cars use up so much fuel and are horrendous when it comes to fuel saving. But we're kind of just doing this for the fun of it, just to have a good laugh and just trying to see how well we can do. On fuel map 6, so just trying to save as much fuel as I can. Gonna get a slightly better exit than moving chicane, and I'm going to try and see if I can give him a bit of a bump, because I don't want to fight it out with him, and I really need to save a ton of fuel under his slipstream. So that slipstream, once again, it's pretty much a lifeline for me. There's also a bunch of Scirocco's behind me, so we gotta try to, hold them off, and hopefully they don't get too close to us, because if they get close, then they're going to pretty much bonk us all, and they're going to get the easiest passes done, as the Scirocco's, once again, they're really good when it comes to fuel saving, while the Mustang and the Veyron are terrible when it comes to that sort of stuff. Somehow being able to hold off the Scirocco's, I'm going to finally be able to give moving chicane a little love tap, give him a bump draft, so we can go a little bit faster and just try to, once again, just try to hold off on those Scirocco's. The last thing that moving chicane and I should be doing is trying to fight it out, as we're pretty much just playing the long game here. It's going to try to work with them, because teamwork makes the meme work, and that's going to be especially the case for this race with some meme cars. It's going to give moving chicane another bump draft. He's going to go a bit faster. I'm going to go a bit faster because of the slipstream. Going to give him another bump. Once again, just trying to help each other go a little bit faster. Just trying to stay away from the Scirocco's, and Key in the Ferrari, not too far from us. He's only getting held up by 2 Scirocco's, and once he gets past those 2 Scirocco's, he's going to easily catch up to the both of us, as his car really excellent when it comes to fuel saving, and Key is also a really fast driver. So we're going to get ready to go towards the final back straight at the Nordschleife section, and I'm going to be holding up a Scirocco behind me. He doesn't really have anywhere to go, and pretty much he's going to be trying to fuel save a bit more behind me. But if he wants to go for a pass, he's going to need to do it now. But as we enter the back straight at the Nordschleife section, I'm going to really take advantage of the slipstream, and once again, I don't want to fight it out with chicane, so I'm going to go ahead, be a good friend, and give him a big bump draft. I'm going to get bump drafted as well, and actually that's going to help me go even faster, and the Scirocco is actually going to end up falling a bit behind, as the Scirocco is not that good when it comes to top speed. Meanwhile, I'm going to try to fuel safe and push chicane along, as I'm going to try to buy a bit more time to try to hold off on anyone who is going to quickly approach us as we get ready to start the next lap. So gonna lift off our throttle. I need to do a bit more fuel saving, as even though I do have a bit of extra fuel, as the Scirocco wants to go for a move, but luckily I was able to hold off on that. But anyways, I still have a bit of fuel left, a bit of extra fuel, that is, 3% to be exact. But once again, it's really easy to use too much fuel, so I need to really be careful about how much fuel I'm using throughout the final lap. So it's going to quickly catch up to moving chicane. It's going to try to be really careful through this first couple of turns, the double hairpin. And do you guys hear that? Do you guys hear boss music? Because oh my goodness, I want to look back and Key is right there. So he was able to get past the 2 Scirocco's, and he's going to quickly catch up to us. Right now Key is 1.5 seconds behind us, but because the Mustang and the Veyron are terrible when it comes to fuel saving, our pace is going to be so slow that Key is going to be able to catch up to us not even halfway into the Nordschleife section of this lap. So skipping it over towards Arenberg, so not that far from the Flugplatz, Key is going to be right behind moving chicane and I now, he is now under half a second behind us, and now he has to try to find a way around us. And at this point, moving chicane and I are, well, we're moving chicanes, so he is going to have to find a way around us, except I'm unfortunately going to mess up right around here. Gonna brake just a tad bit too late, almost go off track, and Key is just gonna slide on through and take my spot. And I'm not gonna lie, that was one heck of a wonderful, beautiful overtake. So let's just go through Key's perspective. So he's catching up to me right now, quickly catching up to me. Gonna brake just a tad bit too late, and he's gonna slide on by. It was a really good overtake, can't be mad about that. But anyways, unfortunately, there's this thing called tire wear, and the Veyron, it kind of sucks when it comes to tire wear, and I completely forgot to take that into account because the front tires are wearing just enough for the front tires to become a bit of an issue, and with these twistier parts of the track, I'm going to end up getting left behind, which kind of sucks because I was hoping I could keep up with them for a bit more, but the front tire, it was just enough of an issue to the point where the Veyron just started to understeer like crazy. And Key actually gets the move done on moving chicane at the very end, and Key's going to be able to hold on to first place, moving chicane just barely losing out to Key. So that was a pretty good battle for them to have right at the end, but unfortunately for me, I'm just going to be crawling towards the start finish line as I just run out of fuel at the very end. But still, pretty funny that moving chicane and I were able to make it this far into the race. Just having a ton of laps. This is probably one of the funnier races that I've had during my time in Gran Turismo Sport. Now we're going to go on over to the next day because I actually wasn't recording when this race happened, but what happened in this race was interesting enough to the point where I had to record the replay and kind of just show you what happened. So still in the Veyron, but I'm starting in third place this time. So we're going to go ahead and get ready for the race to start. Luckily, there are a couple of cars ahead of me, so it's going to be a bit easier for me to do a bunch of fuel saving since the slipstream is right in front of me this time. Luckily, the car behind me is not a Scirocco or a front-wheel drive, so they don't have the acceleration to go for a super easy pass. So I'm going to be able to hold on to third place for now, but the Subaru WRX Group 4 is better than the Veyron when it comes to fuel saving, and he actually got a better exit, so the Subaru is going to go for an easy pass. Not going to fight it out, just going to try to take advantage of the slipstream. Just going to try to hang on to it for dear life because that's pretty much the name of the game for a car like the Veyron or the Mustang. As, yeah, really bad on fuel, really bad at fuel saving as well. Gotta take advantage of as much slipstream as possible, which means, yeah, you can't really fight it out. You're already going slow, so you're going to go even slower if you try to fight it out with someone else. Unfortunately, I'm going to lose the slipstream of the Subaru up ahead, except they're going to get into a battle and the BMW is actually going to almost go into a wall. Luckily, that bit of fighting slowed them down just enough for me to be able to catch up to them and be under the slipstream once again, so I can do a bit more fuel saving, be a bit more aggressive on the fuel saving, and the slipstream will help me keep up with them for a bit longer. And if I'm able to be really aggressive with the fuel saving under someone's slipstream, I may be able to gather enough fuel or save enough fuel to be able to go for an attack towards the end of the race, especially on the back straight at the Nordschleife, as that's where the Veyron is really good at with its high top speed. So still hanging on to the BMW and the Subaru. The Cayman is not too far behind me, so gotta be a little careful about what they're going to do. May just let them by, especially if they're getting a bit aggressive on me. But so far things are going pretty well as I'm still right behind the Brazilian, just still trying to fuel save as much as I can. But because my pace is going to be a tad bit slow, and that's saying it nicely, the Cayman may go for a move, and looks like he is going to go for the move. I'm just going to let him through. Once again, no reason to fight it out. Just let him have the spot, do even more fuel saving under his slipstream. We're trying to play the very long game, so just trying to hang on, except unfortunately it looks like I'm going to end up losing the slipstream of 4th place, so I'm going to get left behind. So 4th place is going to be extremely difficult to reach. Skipping it over later in lap 1, 4th place is actually going to lose it. Barely clips the grass, and that ended up costing him the race. So now I'm going to take 4th place. But because I have no slipstream in front of me, I'm going to be going extremely slow, especially through this twistier part of the Nordschleife section of the lap. And there's going to be an angry Scirocco behind me, not too far behind me, and he's going to need to try to find a way to get past me. Pretty much going to be holding up all these cars, and with the terrible pace of the Veyron when it comes to fuel saving, yeah, they're gonna need to find a way to get past me. The Scirocco really wants to make his way through, but because the track is so narrow and because my car is so wide, the Scirocco is going to have a pretty hard time trying to get past me. Right now he's not able to, and at this point I'm actually holding up 2 cars. There's actually a couple more cars behind, so I may be holding all of them up, which will be kind of funny, not gonna lie. The Scirocco is actually going to be able to break through, so now the GTR needs to try to find his way through. Same goes with the TT Cup and the 2 Caymans further back. Good bit of racing going on though, just trying not to make any mistakes so I don't lose too many positions too quickly. Just gonna once again just try to hang on to the slipstream for dear life. I do kind of need to focus a bit more on fuel saving so I could try to fight back towards the end of the race, especially if I have a surplus of fuel. So just gonna stay behind the Scirocco, not really gonna go for the move. Once again, I need as much fuel as I can. He's actually signaling for me to pass, but I don't want to pass him. I need to fuel save a ton more, as the TT Cup driven by Hellsfire is actually going to break through and get past the both of us, and the GTR driven by Pedro Rolon is going to get past me actually. But is he going to get past the Scirocco? They're actually going to go too wide, and the GTR is actually going to back out of it. So I just lost 2 positions, actually 3 if you count the Scirocco, so just need to try to fuel save a bit more and just try to keep up with these cars for as long as I can, as the Nissan is actually going to go to the pit stop, so he's pretty much out of the race for now, but he's not going to be able to catch up to us. So now I need to try to hang on to the slipstream of the Scirocco and hopefully not get passed too soon by the Caymans behind me, as the Cayman is actually going to go for the move, almost ends up hitting the Scirocco, but he ends up getting a really awkward exit, almost goes into me. So I'm going to be able to keep 6th place for now, as the other Cayman is going to go for the move, but I'm not going to fight it out. We're already losing quite a bit of time, so I just want to let him on through, not lose any more time than we already have, as the Scirocco is starting to get away from all of us. So just going to focus on fuel saving once again, just trying to fuel save as much as I can to try to have a surplus of fuel to fight back at the end of the race, especially if these cars are bunched up together, as the other Cayman from earlier is going to easily get past me. Not going to fight it out, just going to let him on through and use a slipstream to get closer to the other cars ahead, or hopefully get closer to them, and just take advantage of the slipstream to fuel save a bit more, as he's actually getting pretty aggressive. Kind of just dives onto the other Cayman, and he's going to take 6th place. But luckily things are kind of going to calm down for the majority of this lap, which is going to be great for me because I'm going to be able to camp behind or camp in their slipstream, just do a ton of fuel saving, which is going to give me a ton of fuel to be able to fight back towards the end. And now it's pretty much just the waiting game until we reach the very end of the lap. So starting the final straight over at the Nordschleife section, which is where we're approaching now. At this point, I have saved up so much fuel. I have quite a bit of a surplus to be able to start to go all out And with the really strong slipstream and the Veyron's awesome top speed, these guys are going to be defenseless. Cue the boss level music because here comes the Veyron with speed and power. Spots taking at the final back straight at the North Life section, and luckily because I'm able to go all out with a surplus of fuel, I'm going to be able to just barely hold on to 5th place, as the Keyman in 6th place was almost able to get a run on me. But luckily with that extra bit of fuel saving, I was able to push a little more at the very end when it really mattered. And I thought this race was going to be pretty boring, but with the meme cars, it actually made things a bit more interesting, kind of funny if you ask me. And especially with the second and the third race in the Veyron, yeah, those races were probably some of the funnier races that I've had during my time in Gran Turismo Sport. But that's going to be all for this video. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. So this is Mr. MCA, thanking you guys for the support and thanking Playseat for supporting the channel as well. And I'll see you in the next video.